The Vega Secundus system was a graveyard of dreams. Massive shipyards floated dead in space, their construction bays empty and dark. Ancient manufacturing stations drifted silently around a dying red star. Whatever had happened here 3,000 years ago had left the entire system abandoned and forgotten. "It's incredible," whispered Dr. Yoon Mira as the new soul approached the largest shipyard. "These facilities could build ships the size of cities. Why would the Empire abandon all this?" Engineer Kim Do-eun was more interested in practical matters. "Whatever the reason, these shipyards have everything we need for repairs. The manufacturing equipment looks ancient but functional." Navigator Park Jin-ho checked his sensors nervously. "No Imperial ships in the system, sir. We're alone out here." Captain Lee Woo-jin felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. 3 weeks of running had brought them to this moment. Either they would find a way to return to Earth, or they would become permanent fugitives in a galaxy that wanted to destroy them. The docking procedures for the ancient shipyard still worked, though everything moved slowly. As the new soul settled into a construction bay that had been empty for millennia, the crew prepared to explore their temporary refuge. What they found changed everything they thought they knew about the Galactic Empire. The shipyard's central computer was still functioning, powered by fusion reactors that had run automatically for 3,000 years. When Dr. Yoon accessed the historical records, she discovered why this place had been abandoned. "Captain, you need to see this," she called urgently. The records told a story that the Empire had tried to erase from history. 3,000 years ago, this shipyard had been the center of Imperial innovation. The greatest scientists and engineers in the galaxy had worked here, developing new technologies that pushed the boundaries of known science. They were working on something called Project Genesis, Dr. Yoon explained, a new type of faster-than-light drive that would have revolutionized space travel. "What happened to it?" asked Ambassador Cho Hyun-woo. "The Emperor shut it down. According to these records, he decided that technological advancement was too dangerous. The scientists were scattered to different worlds and the shipyard was abandoned." Engineer Kim was studying the technical specifications. "This Genesis drive. It's similar to our quantum cascade system. They were developing the same principles we use." The implications were staggering. The Empire had possessed the knowledge to build technology superior to their current systems, but had deliberately abandoned it to maintain control. They chose stagnation over progress, Captain Lee realized. That's why our technology seems so advanced to them. We developed what they could have built centuries ago. While the crew explored the shipyard, something was happening in the Imperial capital that would change the course of galactic history. Emperor Drak Vorthak was facing the greatest crisis of his 12,000-year reign. "Your Majesty," reported Grand Admiral Nex Corvain, "the search for the human vessel has failed. They've disappeared completely, and our fleet deployments have left several border regions vulnerable." "What kind of vulnerable?" the Emperor asked coldly. "The Andorian Alliance has launched probe attacks on 3 systems. The Free Traders Union is ignoring Imperial shipping regulations, and there are reports of uprising on 17 different worlds." The Emperor had feared this would happen. The Empire's power depended on the appearance of absolute control. The moment that illusion cracked, their enemies would take advantage. "How many ships would we need to restore order?" "Every available vessel, Your Majesty." But that would mean abandoning the search for the humans entirely. Emperor Drak Vorthak faced an impossible choice: continue hunting the humans and risk losing control of the Empire, or restore order and let the proof of Imperial fallibility escape. He was still considering his options when an urgent message arrived from an unexpected source. "Your Majesty," his communications officer announced, "we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel. They're requesting a direct meeting with you." Back in the Vega Secundus system, Captain Lee had made a decision that would either save humanity or doom it forever. After discovering the truth about Imperial technology, he realized that running was no longer an option. "We can't keep hiding," he told his crew. "The Empire will never stop hunting us, and Earth will never be safe as long as we're fugitives." "What do you propose?" asked Ambassador Cho. "We negotiate from a position of strength. We know something they don't want anyone to know, that their technology is deliberately outdated. We use that knowledge to force a real peace treaty." Dr. Yoon had been working with the shipyard's manufacturing equipment. "Captain, there's something else. I've been able to build a communication array using both human and Imperial technology. We can send a message anywhere in the galaxy. Do it." Send a message directly to the Emperor. The message that reached Emperor Drak Vorthak was simple but devastating. Your Imperial Majesty, this is Captain Li Wujin of the Earth vessel New Soul. We know about Project Genesis. We know why the Vega Secundus shipyards were abandoned. We propose a meeting to discuss terms that will benefit both the Empire and humanity. The Emperor realized immediately that the humans had found one of the Empire's most carefully hidden secrets. If knowledge of Project Genesis became public, it would prove that the Empire had deliberately held back technological progress for millennia. Where do they want to meet? He asked. They're requesting that you come to the Vega Secundus system, Your Majesty, alone except for a small escort. For the first time in 1,000 years, Emperor Drak Vorthak left the imperial capital. His personal ship, accompanied by only a dozen escorts, traveled to the abandoned shipyard where the human vessel waited. The meeting took place in the shipyard's main conference room, a chamber that hadn't hosted negotiations in 3,000 years. Emperor Drak Vorthak, ancient ruler of the galaxy, sat across from Captain Li Wujin, representative of a species the Empire had never heard of until a month ago. You have put me in a very difficult position, the Emperor began. Your Majesty, Captain Li replied respectfully, we never intended to cause problems for your empire. We're explorers who got lost and just want to go home. But your very existence challenges the foundation of imperial authority. If word spreads that unknown civilizations can develop advanced technology without our knowledge, then maybe it's time for the Empire to change, Dr. Yoon interrupted gently. The records here show that your people once embraced innovation and discovery. What happened to that spirit? Emperor Drak Vorthak was quiet for a long moment. We became afraid, he admitted finally. Afraid that if we allowed unlimited technological development, someone would eventually create something that could destroy us. Ambassador Cho leaned forward. Your Majesty, humanity offers a different path. We can show you that innovation and stability can coexist. In exchange, we ask for recognition of Earth as an independent ally, not a subject world. And if I refuse? Captain Li's voice was steady. Then we'll return to Earth and warn them about the Empire. We'll also make sure the knowledge about Project Genesis reaches every world in the galaxy. The Emperor realized he was cornered. The humans held information that could destroy his regime, but they were offering an alternative that might actually strengthen the Empire in the long run. What exactly are you proposing? A technology exchange program, Dr. Yoon explained. We share our innovations with Imperial scientists, and they share their knowledge with us. Both civilizations benefit and grow stronger. And the independence of Earth? Guaranteed, Ambassador Cho said firmly. Earth becomes the first recognized independent ally of the Galactic Empire. We establish diplomatic relations, but we remain sovereign. Engineer Kim added, we're also willing to help restart the shipyards here. This facility could become a joint research center where both humans and Imperial scientists work together. Emperor Drak Vorthak considered the proposal. It was unprecedented, dangerous, and completely against everything the Empire had stood for. It was also the only way to avoid a catastrophic revelation that could destroy his civilization. Very well, he said finally. I accept your terms. The agreement signed in the Vega Secundus shipyard would change galactic history. For the first time in 12,000 years, the Galactic Empire recognized another power as an equal ally rather than a conquered subject. 6 months later, the New Soul returned to Earth carrying news that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The quantum cascade drive that had accidentally brought them into contact with galactic civilization became the foundation for a new age of exploration and discovery. The abandoned shipyards of Vega Secundus came alive again as human and Imperial scientists worked together, developing technologies that neither species could have created alone. The Empire, freed from its self-imposed technological stagnation, began to grow and evolve for the first time in millennia, and Captain Li Wujin, who had started out as the commander of a simple test flight, became Earth's first ambassador to the stars, helping to guide humanity into its destiny among the galactic community. The panic that had gripped the Empire when an unregistered vessel appeared in their space had transformed into hope for a future where the throne room of Emperor Drak Vorthak was a monument to 12,000 years of galactic dominance. Golden pillars stretched up into darkness covered with the names of conquered worlds. Holographic displays showed the extent of the Empire. Millions of star systems all under Imperial control. The Emperor himself was ancient beyond measure, kept alive by technology that predated most civilizations. His pale skin was almost transparent, and his eyes held the weight of millennia. He had ruled the galaxy for so long that most beings couldn't imagine a universe without him. "Explain this to me again," he said, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. Grand Admiral Nex Corvain, Supreme Commander of all Imperial forces, stood before the throne. Even he, the most powerful military officer in the galaxy, trembled slightly as he spoke. "Your Majesty, a vessel of unknown origin appeared in Sector 4 17 days ago. The ship carries beings who call themselves humans from a planet called Earth. This planet does not exist in any of our star charts. How is that possible?" The Emperor asked. "We have mapped every inhabited world in the galaxy." "That's what we believed, Your Majesty, but their technology suggests they developed faster than light travel independently, without our knowledge." The Emperor was silent for a long moment. The idea that a civilization could develop advanced technology without Imperial oversight was more than surprising. It was terrifying. The Empire's power depended on controlling all scientific advancement. "Where is this vessel now?" "Unknown, Your Majesty. It escaped from Imperial custody and disappeared using technology we don't understand. We've mobilized fleets in 30 sectors, but they seem to be able to avoid our detection methods. Meanwhile, in a secret laboratory deep within the Imperial Science Directorate, Dr. Yun Mira would have been fascinated to see what the Empire's best scientists were doing. They had spent weeks studying the energy readings from the new Sol, trying to understand human technology. "The power output is impossible," said Chief Scientist Zex Morlan, staring at his data screens. "Their quantum cascade drive should tear itself apart, but somehow it remains stable." His assistant, Dr. Kir Alensis, shook her head in confusion. "It's not just stable, it's more efficient than our own FTL systems. Their ship is smaller than our scouts but can apparently outrun our fastest cruisers." "How?" Zex demanded. "We've had 12,000 years to perfect faster-than-light technology. How can these newcomers build something better?" The answer was becoming clear to scientists throughout the Empire, though none of them wanted to admit it. Imperial technology had become stagnant. For thousands of years, the Empire had focused on controlling existing knowledge, rather than developing new ideas. Innovation was discouraged because it might disrupt the established order. Back on the new Sol, Intelligence Officer Song Yun-ji was intercepting Imperial communications and translating them for the crew. What she discovered was both encouraging and frightening. "Captain," she reported to Li Wujin, "the Empire is in complete chaos. I'm reading communications from dozens of sectors. They're pulling ships from patrol duties, canceling exploration missions, even recalling forces from their border regions." "All to hunt for us?" asked Navigator Park Jin-ho. "It's bigger than that. They're not just hunting us, they're questioning everything they thought they knew about the galaxy." Dr. Yun Mira had been studying the captured Imperial data from their brief time on the base. The Empire has been using essentially the same technology for thousands of years. They've made improvements, but no real breakthroughs. They've become a civilization of bureaucrats and managers, not innovators. Engineer Kim Da-eun looked up from her repairs. "That explains why our quantum drive confuses them so much. We developed it using completely different principles." Captain Lee understood the implications. "We're not just escaped prisoners. We're proof that their whole system is flawed." The panic was spreading through the Empire faster than any disease. On the capital world of Corvain Prime, emergency sessions of the Imperial Senate had been called. Representatives from 1,000 species argued about what the human discovery meant. "If one unknown civilization can exist," declared Senator Vex Kalor from the Rigel system, "how many others might there be? How many species have we missed? Our entire defense strategy is based on knowing all potential threats," added General Morthakis. "If we don't know what's out there, how can we protect the Empire?" Emperor Drak Vorthak listened to the debates through holographic transmissions. He could see the fear in his officials' faces. The Empire ruled through certainty and control. The discovery of humanity had shattered that certainty. "Your Majesty," said his chief advisor, "perhaps we should consider the possibility that our expansion has been too focused on known regions. Maybe we should launch new exploration missions to find other hidden civilizations." The Emperor's laugh was cold and bitter. "Exploration? We stopped exploring 1,000 years ago because we thought we had found everything worth finding. Now you suggest we start again because of one small ship? But privately, the Emperor was deeply worried. The Empire's strength came from the belief that it was all-powerful and all-knowing. If that belief cracked, rebellions might break out across the galaxy. On the New Sol, the crew was discovering just how much their escape had disrupted Imperial operations. Song Yunji had been monitoring military communications all day. "Captain, they're pulling entire fleets away from border duties to search for us. Some sectors that were heavily defended are now almost empty." "What does that mean?" asked Security Chief Jiang Taimin. Dr. Yun provided the answer. "It means the Empire has enemies. If they're willing to weaken their borders to hunt for us, there must be threats out there that they're normally watching." This gave Captain Li an idea. "Song, can you identify these border regions? If the Empire has enemies, maybe we can contact them." "Already working on it, sir. There seem to be several independent systems that the Empire considers hostile. They might be willing to help us, but finding allies would be dangerous. The New Sol would have to travel through heavily patrolled space to reach any of these potential friends." And they still had a more immediate problem. "Captain," reported Kim Da-yoon, "the quantum drive modifications are working better than expected, but they're putting a strain on other systems. We need to find a safe place to make more permanent repairs. How long can we keep running? Maybe 2 more jumps before something critical fails." Navigator Park Jin-ho had been studying star charts. "Sir, I found something interesting. There's an ancient shipyard in the Vega Secundus system. According to Imperial records, it's been abandoned for over 3,000 years. Why abandoned? The records aren't clear, but it seems like there was some kind of accident. The entire system was declared off-limits." Dr. Yoon was intrigued. An abandoned shipyard might have the facilities we need for repairs. And if it's been off-limits for 3,000 years, the Imperials might not think to look for us there. Captain Lee made his decision. "Set course for Vega Secundus. It's time to find out what the Empire has been hiding." As the New Sol prepared for another jump, Emperor Drak Vorthak was holding a private meeting with his most trusted advisors. The discussion was about something that hadn't been seriously considered in thousands of years: the possibility that the Empire might fall. Humans represent more than just unknown technology," the Emperor said quietly. "They represent the idea that civilizations can exist and thrive without us. If that idea spreads, rebellions, Your Majesty," finished Grand Admiral Nex Corvain. "Species that have been part of the Empire for millennia might start to wonder if they need us anymore." "Exactly. Which is why these humans must be captured or destroyed before word of their existence spreads further. And if we can't find them?" The Emperor's expression was grim. "Then we may need to consider extreme measures." The panic was no longer contained to the military and government. Across the galaxy, ordinary beings were starting to hear rumors about the mysterious ship that had appeared from nowhere. In cantinas and marketplaces, on transport ships and space stations, people whispered about the impossible vessel and what it might mean. The Galactic Empire, which had seemed eternal and unchangeable, was beginning to crack, and somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the crew of the New Sol continued their desperate flight toward a destination that might hold the key to everything. The chase had become something much larger than anyone had expected. It was no longer just about one escaped ship. It was about the future of galactic civilization itself. The escape began at 300 station time, when most of the Imperial base was running on skeleton crew. Engineer Kim Da-eun had spent hours preparing for this moment, studying the electromagnetic clamps that held the New Sol in place. "Captain," she whispered into her communicator, "I'm ready to overload the docking system. Once I do this, we'll have maybe 30 seconds before they realize what's happening." Pilot Oh Sung-ho sat at the flight controls, his hands steady despite the tension. He had been Earth's best test pilot before joining the space program. Now he would need every bit of his skill to get them out alive. "All crew, prepare for emergency departure," Captain Lee announced quietly over the ship's internal system. "This is going to be rough." Kim's fingers moved quickly over her console. The ship's power systems fed energy into the docking clamps at dangerous levels. Sparks began flying from connection points as the Imperial equipment started to overload. "Now," Kim shouted. Oh Sung-ho fired the engines at full power. The New Sol shot away from the docking bay like a rocket, leaving a trail of burning debris behind. Immediately, alarms began screaming throughout the Imperial base. "Unknown vessel is departing without clearance," came the panicked voice of the base controller. "All ships intercept immediately." Admiral Velcorin was awakened in his quarters by the emergency alert. He rushed to the bridge of his flagship, still pulling on his uniform. "What's happening?" "Sir, the human vessel has escaped from the base," reported his tactical officer. "They broke the docking clamps and are moving at high speed." "How fast?" "Faster than our patrol ships, sir. Their acceleration is beyond anything in our databases." On the new Sol, Oh Sung-ho was pushing the ship to its limits. The quantum cascade drive was damaged, but the conventional engines were still working perfectly. The ship danced between asteroids and space debris, using every obstacle to break the line of sight with Imperial sensors. "Pursuit ships coming up behind us," reported Tactical Officer Bae Young-soo. 12 Imperial patrol vessels closing fast. Dr. Yoon Mira was monitoring Imperial communications. "They're calling for reinforcements from 3 different sectors. It sounds like they're mobilizing everything they have." Captain Lee studied the tactical display. "How long before we can jump to FTL?" Engineer Kim shook her head. "The quantum cascade drive is still burned out. I need at least a week to repair it. And that's if I can find the right materials. Then we run on conventional engines until you can fix it," Captain Lee decided. The chase began in earnest as Imperial ships poured out of the base. The new Sol was fast, but it was one ship against dozens. Oh Seung-ho used every trick he knew, diving through asteroid fields and using the gravity of nearby planets to increase their speed. "They're firing warning shots," reported Bae Young-soo. "Warning shots?" asked Captain Lee. "They want to capture us alive, not destroy us," Dr. Yoon explained. "We're too valuable as the only contact with an unknown civilization." This gave the humans an advantage. The Imperial ships had to be careful with their weapons, while the new Sol could take risks that might damage Imperial property. Oh Sung-ho dubbed the ship into a dense asteroid field. The rocks were so thick that navigation computers could barely keep track of them all. Imperial ships built for open space combat had trouble following. "We're losing them," Navigator Park Jin-ho reported with relief. But the celebration was short-lived. New contacts appeared on their sensors coming from 3 different directions. "Admiral Velcorin is smart," Captain Lee observed. "He's calling in ships from other sectors to surround us." Engineer Kim was working frantically on the quantum drive repairs. "I'm bypassing the damaged cascade generators, but it's going to reduce our jump range significantly." "How significantly?" "Instead of jumping 800 light-years, we might only manage 50 or 60. "That's better than nothing," Captain Lee said. "How long?" 6 hours minimum." The chase continued through the star system. The new Sol used its superior maneuverability to stay ahead of the Imperial fleet, but more ships kept arriving. Soon there were over 100 Imperial vessels hunting them. "Sir," Communications Officer Han So-young reported, "I'm picking up transmissions from Imperial Command. They're ordering a complete blockade of this entire sector." Oh Sung-ho guided the ship toward a nearby nebula, hoping the gas clouds would interfere with Imperial sensors. The colorful mists swirled around them as they plunged into the cosmic fog. "Visibility is down to almost 0, reported Park Jin-ho. "But our sensors are also having trouble." "Better than being spotted by the entire Imperial fleet," Oh replied, carefully navigating through the dense gas. Inside the nebula, they found something unexpected. Ancient ruins floated in the mist, the remains of some long-dead civilization. Massive stone structures that had once been cities or temples drifted silently through space. "These ruins are older than the Empire," Dr. Yoon observed, studying the ancient architecture. "Whoever built them had a completely different technology." Kim Da-eun had an idea. "Captain, these ruins are full of rare metals that I need for the quantum drive repairs. If we can salvage some materials, I can fix the engine much faster." "Do it," Captain Lee ordered, "but quickly. The Imperials will search the nebula eventually." While Kim and her engineering team worked on harvesting materials from the ancient ruins, the Imperial fleet spread out around the nebula. Admiral Velcorin was taking no chances. "Seal every exit," he ordered. "Use gravitational sensors to track their engine emissions. They can't hide in there forever." But the humans had advantages the Admiral didn't expect. Their technology was newer and more efficient than Imperial equipment. Oh Seung-ho discovered that the new Sol could function better in the nebula's dense gas than Imperial ships, which were designed for clear space. "Their sensors can't track us as well in here," he reported. "The nebula interferes with their equipment more than ours." Kim worked through the night, rebuilding damaged components with materials from the ancient ruins. The alien metals had properties she had never seen before, making the repairs stronger than the original design. "These materials are incredible," she told Captain Lee. "Whoever built these ruins had metallurgy, techniques far beyond what the Empire uses now. Can you get us jumping again?" "Yes, but there's something else. These new materials are making the quantum drive more efficient. I think we might be able to jump farther than before, not shorter." As dawn broke over the nebula, Kim announced that repairs were complete. The new Sol now had a quantum cascade drive that was actually better than the original design. "Jump range?" asked Captain Lee. "Unknown, sir. These new materials have changed everything. We might be able to jump 500 light years, or we might be able to jump 5,000. I won't know until we try." Oh Sung-ho plotted a course out of the nebula that would take them past the fewest Imperial ships. "Ready for departure, Captain." "All crew prepare for quantum jump," Captain Lee announced. "We don't know where we're going, but anywhere is better than here." The new Sol burst out of the nebula at full speed, surprising the Imperial ships that were watching the exits. Before Admiral Velkorin could react, the human vessel activated its quantum cascade drive. The ship disappeared in a flash of light, leaving the entire Imperial fleet behind. But this was just the beginning of the chase. Admiral Velkorin immediately sent messages to every Imperial base within 1,000 light years, warning them about the escaped human vessel. "Priority alert to all sectors," he transmitted. "Unknown vessel with advanced technology is fleeing Imperial custody. Consider extremely dangerous. Capture if possible, destroy if necessary." The message spread through the Imperial communication network like wildfire. Soon every Imperial ship in the galaxy would be looking for the new Sol. The humans had escaped the first trap, but they had also become the most wanted fugitives in galactic history. The real chase was just beginning, and this time, the entire Galactic Empire would be hunting them. The Imperial base was massive beyond anything the humans had ever imagined. Starbase Corvain stretched for hundreds of kilometers in all directions, a metal city floating in space. Thousands of ships moved in and out of its docking bays like insects around a hive. Ambassador Cho Hyun-woo stood at the window of the new Sol, watching as they were guided toward a special docking area. As Earth's senior diplomat, he had trained for first contact scenarios, but nothing had prepared him for this. They weren't meeting a new species as equals. They were prisoners being brought in for questioning. "Captain," he said to Lee Woo-jin, "I recommend we be completely honest about everything. We have nothing to hide, and lying will only make things worse." Security Chief Jung Tae-min disagreed. "Sir, we don't know their intentions. They could be planning to dissect us or steal our technology. We should reveal as little as possible." Dr. Yoon Mira was busy studying the Imperial base through her instruments. "The technology here is incredible," she reported. "But it's also very old. Some of these structures look like they've been here for thousands of years without any major changes." The new Sol docked with a soft thud. Through the windows, they could see Imperial guards waiting for them. The aliens wore elaborate uniforms covered in symbols and decorations. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. "Remember," Captain Lee told his crew, "we represent all of humanity. Whatever happens here could determine the future relationship between Earth and this empire." The airlock opened, and Imperial Legate Kex Thaloris stepped aboard. He was tall and thin with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. His uniform was covered in so many medals and ribbons that he looked like a walking display case. "I am Legate Thaloris," he announced in careful English. "I will conduct the formal registration process for your vessel and crew." Ambassador Cho stepped forward. "Legate, I am Ambassador Cho Hyun-woo, representing the planet Earth and humanity. We're honored to meet you. But I must clarify that we're not seeking registration in your empire. We're independent explorers who got lost and simply want to return home." Legate Thaloris stared at him as if he had spoken in gibberish. "What do you mean by independent? All spacefaring vessels must be registered with the Empire. This has been law for 12,000 years." "We understand that's your law," Ambassador Cho replied patiently. "But Earth is not part of your empire. We've developed space travel on our own. We have our own government and our own laws." The legate's expression grew more confused. "This is impossible. The Empire includes all civilized worlds in the galaxy. There are no independent planets with advanced technology," Dr. Yoon whispered to Captain Lee. "I don't think they understand the concept of a civilization existing outside their empire." The formal first contact ceremony took place in the base's main conference room. It was huge and ornate, with golden walls covered in the flags of 1,000 different worlds. Representatives from dozens of alien species sat around a massive table, all wearing similar uniforms and following identical protocols. Legate Thaloris began reading from a thick book of regulations. According to Imperial Law Section 4.847, subsection 12, all newly contacted species must immediately surrender sovereignty to the Empire, provide complete technical specifications for all technology, and submit to Imperial rule. Ambassador Cho stood up. Legate, we cannot accept those terms. Earth is a sovereign world with over 8 billion inhabitants. We're not surrendering our independence to anyone. A shocked silence filled the room. Several alien officials began talking at once in their own languages. The universal translator could barely keep up. Impossible, said one official. No species has ever refused Imperial integration. Their technology could be dangerous if not controlled, said another. This violation of protocol must be reported to the Emperor. Immediately, said a third. Legate Thaloris looked pale. Ambassador Cho, you don't understand. The Empire maintains order in the galaxy by ensuring all advanced technology is properly controlled. We cannot allow an unregistered vessel to exist, and why not? Asked Dr. Yoon. We're peaceful. We have no intention of harming anyone. Because, the legate explained, if word spreads that unregistered vessels can exist, it could encourage rebellion in Empire worlds. The stability of our civilization depends on everyone following the same laws. Security Chief Jang leaned over to Captain Lee. Sir, they're not just upset about our presence. They're terrified of what it means. The negotiations continued for hours, but it quickly became clear that neither side could accept the other's position. The Empire needed to register the human vessel to maintain their authority. The humans refused to surrender their independence or reveal Earth's location. Perhaps we could arrange a limited cultural exchange, Ambassador Cho suggested. We could share some non-military technology in return for repairs to our ship and safe passage home. Legate Thaloris shook his head. Imperial law does not allow for limited agreements. You must either submit completely to Empire authority or be classified as a hostile force. Captain Lee finally spoke up. Legate, what happens if we're classified as hostile? Your vessel will be impounded, your crew will be imprisoned, and a fleet will be sent to your homeworld to enforce Imperial law. The room fell silent. The humans realized they were facing an impossible choice: surrender their freedom or have Earth invaded by a galactic empire. Dr. Yoon tried a different approach. What if we prove that our technology poses no threat to the Empire? Could we demonstrate our peaceful intentions? How? Asked the legate. Let our engineer explain how our faster-than-light drive works. Show you that it's purely for exploration, not warfare. Engineer Kim Da-eun was brought in to explain the quantum cascade drive. As she spoke, the Imperial scientists in the room grew more and more agitated. This technology should not be possible, one of them said. It violates several fundamental principles of Imperial physics. Perhaps your physics are incomplete, Kim suggested innocently. The suggestion that Imperial science might be flawed caused an uproar. Officials shouted at each other in a dozen languages. Several representatives left the room to make urgent communications to their superiors. Legate Thaloris looked overwhelmed. This meeting is suspended. You will return to your vessel while we consult with higher authorities. As the humans were escorted back to the New Sol, Ambassador Cho realized how badly the first contact had gone. We've accidentally challenged the foundation of their entire civilization, he told Captain Lee. Our very existence threatens their worldview. Back on their ship, the crew held an emergency meeting. They can't accept that we exist outside their system, Captain Lee summarized, and we can't accept being absorbed into their empire. What are our options? Asked Navigator Park Jin-ho. Security Chief Jang was blunt. We can surrender, fight, or run. Fighting is suicide, Engineer Kim pointed out. We're one small ship against an entire empire. Surrendering means giving up Earth's independence, Ambassador Cho added. That leaves running, Captain Lee said. Can we escape? Kim checked her readings. The docking clamps are electromagnetic. I might be able to overload them. But once we break free, where do we go? The engine is still damaged. Dr. Yoon had been studying the Imperial base. I've noticed something interesting. Their security systems are powerful but very predictable. They follow the same patterns they've probably used for thousands of years. Captain Lee made a decision that would change everything. We escape. We find a place to repair our ship, and then we return to Earth to warn them about this empire. Sir, Ambassador Cho said, if we escape, we'll be fugitives. They'll never stop hunting us. Maybe, Captain Lee replied, but at least Earth will remain free. As night fell on the Imperial base, the humans prepared for the most desperate escape in human history. They had come seeking peaceful contact with alien life. Instead, they had stumbled into a conflict that would determine whether humanity remained free or became subjects of a galactic empire. The diplomatic disaster was complete. Now the real adventure would begin. Admiral Velcorin had commanded the 4th Sector Fleet for 30 years. In all that time, he had never seen his crew look so confused and frightened. The bridge of his flagship was normally a place of calm efficiency. Today it buzzed with nervous energy as officers tried to understand what they were seeing. Sir, the unknown vessel is still not responding to our standard identification requests, reported his communications officer. Their responses make no sense according to Imperial protocol. Sensor technician Zil Morin, a young officer who had been the first to detect the strange ship, looked up from her station. Admiral, I've run the scans 5 times. This vessel doesn't match any design in our databases. Its energy signature is completely unknown. Admiral Velcorin studied the image of the human ship on his main screen. It was small compared to Imperial vessels, but there was something about it that made him uneasy. The design was too clean, too efficient. It looked nothing like the ancient, ornate style of Empire ships. How is that possible, he asked. The Empire has cataloged every spacefaring species in the galaxy for 12,000 years. Every ship, every design, every technology is in our records. I don't know, sir, Zil replied. But according to our computers, this ship simply doesn't exist. The Admiral's aide, a nervous young officer named Kex Roland, spoke up. Sir, should we contact Imperial Command? This seems like something they should know about. Admiral Velcorin considered this. Contacting Command would mean admitting that something had appeared in his sector that he couldn't identify. His career had been built on maintaining perfect order in his assigned space. But this situation was beyond anything he had trained for. Not yet, he decided. First, we board the vessel and find out what we're dealing with. Meanwhile, aboard the New Soul, the human crew was having their own crisis meeting. Captain Li Wujin had called all senior officers to the main conference room. Our situation is clear, he began. We're stranded in alien space, surrounded by what appears to be a military fleet. Our engine is damaged beyond quick repair. We need to handle this carefully. Communications Officer Han So-young had been working on the alien signals. Captain, I've been analyzing their transmissions. Their language is complex, but I'm starting to understand some of it. They seem to be part of something called the Galactic Empire. Dr. Yoon Mira added, From what I can observe, their technology is impressive but very standardized. Every ship looks similar, as if they haven't developed new designs in a very long time. Engineer Kim Da-yoon looked worried. Sir, they keep asking about registration and identification codes. They seem to expect us to have paperwork that proves we belong here. What do we tell them? Asked Navigator Park Jin-ho. Captain Lee thought carefully. The truth. We're explorers from Earth. We're lost and need help getting home. Back on the Imperial flagship, Admiral Velcorin was receiving reports that made the situation even more confusing. His boarding party had just returned from their first inspection of the human vessel. Sir, reported the boarding team leader, the aliens call themselves humans and claim to be from a planet called Earth. They say they're lost and want to return home. Where is this Earth? The Admiral asked. That's the problem, sir. It's not in any of our star charts. According to them, it's 847 light-years from here. But we have detailed maps of that entire region. There's no inhabited planet there. Zil Morin looked up from her sensors again. Admiral, there's something else. I've been studying their engine technology. The energy patterns are completely unknown. It's as if they're using physics that we don't understand. This was the moment Admiral Velcorin realized he was facing something that could threaten the very foundation of the Empire. For 12,000 years, the Empire had maintained order by controlling all advanced technology. Every spacefaring race was either part of the Empire or had been destroyed. The idea that an unknown species could develop faster than light travel without Imperial knowledge was impossible. Get me a direct communication link with their captain, he ordered. A few minutes later, the face of Captain Li Wujin appeared on the main screen. Admiral Velcorin studied the alien features. The human looked remarkably similar to some Empire species, but there were subtle differences that marked him as something completely new. "I am Admiral Vel Corin of the 4th Sector Fleet," he began. "You claim to be from a planet called Earth. This planet does not exist in our records," Captain Lee responded calmly. "Admiral, I understand your confusion. Earth is not part of your empire. We developed space travel independently. We were testing our first faster-than-light engine when an accident brought us here." "Impossible," Admiral Vel Corin replied. "The Empire has surveyed every system within 1,000 light years. If your planet existed, we would know about it." "Perhaps your surveys missed us," Captain Lee suggested. "Or perhaps your maps are incomplete." The suggestion that Imperial star charts could be incomplete was so shocking that several officers on the bridge gasped. Admiral Vel Corin felt a chill run down his spine. If this human was telling the truth, it meant the Empire's knowledge of the galaxy was flawed. Han So-young, the human communications officer, had been listening to the Imperial transmissions. She whispered to Captain Lee, "Sir, they seem really upset by the idea that we exist. I think our very presence here is causing them serious problems." Meanwhile, on other Imperial ships surrounding the New Sol, officers were having similar conversations. The existence of the human vessel was spreading panic through the fleet. Junior officers whispered among themselves about what it could mean. "If one unknown species can develop FTL travel without us knowing," one young pilot said to his friend, "how many others might be out there?" "Maybe the Empire isn't as all-knowing as we thought," his friend replied. These dangerous thoughts were exactly what Admiral Vel Corin feared. The Empire's power came from the belief that it controlled all advanced technology in the galaxy. If that belief was shattered, the consequences could be catastrophic. He made a decision that would change everything. "Captain Lee," he said, "I'm ordering your vessel to accompany my fleet to the nearest Imperial base. There, proper authorities will determine what to do with you and your crew." "Admiral," Captain Lee replied, "we're peaceful explorers. We just want to repair our ship and return home. We have no intention of interfering with your empire." "That decision is not yours to make," Admiral Vel Corin said firmly. "No unregistered vessel can be allowed to operate in Imperial space. You will comply with our escort orders, or we will be forced to disable your ship." The communication ended, leaving both sides to consider their options. The humans were vastly outnumbered and outgunned. The Imperials were facing a situation that challenged everything they believed about their galaxy. As the Imperial fleet began to move, escorting the New Sol toward the nearest base, Admiral Vel Corin composed a message that he knew would cause chaos throughout the Empire. "Imperial Command," he began. "This is Admiral Vel Corin reporting an unprecedented situation. We have encountered a vessel from an unknown species claiming to be from an uncharted planet. Their technology appears to be beyond our current understanding. Request immediate instructions." He sent the message and waited. Soon the entire Galactic Empire would know that their perfect knowledge of the galaxy was incomplete. The panic was about to begin. Captain Li Wu-jin stood on the bridge of the New Sol, watching the stars through the large window. His ship was humanity's first real attempt at faster-than-light travel. After decades of dreaming about reaching other worlds, they were finally ready to test their new engine. "All systems ready, Captain," said engineer Kim Da-eun from her station. She had spent 5 years building the quantum cascade drive that would make this historic jump possible. Her hands moved quickly over the controls, checking each system one last time. Navigator Park Jin-ho looked up from his screen. "Course set for Proxima Centauri, sir. The jump should take us exactly 4.2 light-years from Earth." Dr. Yoon Mira, the ship's science officer, was recording everything. If they found alien life at their destination, she would be the first to study it. "All recording equipment is active. We're ready to make history." The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. 20 crew members had trained for 2 years for this moment. They would jump to the nearest star system, take measurements, and return to Earth with proof that humanity could travel between the stars. "Begin the jump sequence," Captain Lee ordered. Kim Da-eun's fingers danced over her controls. The quantum cascade drive began to charge up. Energy readings climbed higher and higher. Outside the window, space began to bend and twist in strange ways. "Drive at 50% power," Kim reported. "Everything looks normal. 70%. Still good. 90%. All systems green. 100%. Jump in 3, 2, 1. Now the universe exploded into light. The New Sol shot forward faster than anything humans had ever built. Stars became lines of white fire. Space itself seemed to scream as the ship tore through reality. Then something went wrong. The smooth acceleration became violent shaking. Alarms started blaring all over the bridge. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The beautiful lines of starlight became chaotic swirls of color. "What's happening?" Captain Lee shouted over the noise. Kim Da-yoon stared at her screens in horror. "The cascade is unstable. The drive is pulling more power than it should. Can you stop it?" "I'm trying." "The emergency shutdown isn't working." The ship spun wildly through space. Park Jin-ho was thrown from his chair. Dr. Yoon grabbed onto her station to keep from falling. The captain held tight to his command chair as the ship bucked like a wild horse. "Emergency stasis," Captain Lee yelled. "All crew to stasis pods immediately." The emergency stasis system was designed to protect the crew if something went wrong during the jump. Sleep gas began filling the bridge. One by one, the crew members collapsed into unconsciousness as their bodies were preserved in emergency sleep. Captain Lee was the last to fall. As darkness took him, he saw the swirling colors of space still racing past the window. They were still jumping, but to where? Hours passed, or maybe days. Time had no meaning in the strange space between stars. Finally, the new soul burst back into normal space with a flash of light. The ship's computers slowly came back online. Life support systems restarted. The stasis pods began their revival sequence. Captain Lee woke up first as his pod was programmed to do. His head hurt and his mouth was dry, but he was alive. He stumbled to the bridge window and looked outside. What he saw made him freeze in shock. They were not at Proxima Centauri. Instead of empty space with a single red star, Captain Lee saw massive structures floating in the darkness. Huge metal rings surrounded a bright yellow star. Space stations the size of cities orbited nearby planets, and everywhere strange ships moved in perfect formations. "Captain?" Kim Da-eun's voice was weak as she woke up. "Did we make it?" "We made it somewhere," he replied quietly, "but not where we planned to go." The other crew members began waking up. Park Jin-ho rushed to his navigation station and stared at the readings. "Sir, this is impossible. According to my instruments, we're 847 light-years from Earth." Dr. Yoon Mira looked at the alien structures through her telescope. "Captain, those aren't natural formations. Someone built them. Someone with technology far beyond ours." Suddenly, the ship's communication system came alive with strange sounds. Voices speaking in languages no human had ever heard. The universal translator tried to make sense of the signals but could only produce fragments. "Unknown vessel. Identify yourself. Violation of Imperial space. Prepare for inspection." Kim Da-eun checked her engine readings. "Sir, the quantum cascade drive is completely burned out. We can't jump again until I rebuild half the system. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. And I'll need materials we don't have." Captain Lee made a decision that would change human history. "Send a basic response signal. Mathematical sequences, basic greetings, anything that shows we're intelligent and peaceful." Park Jin-ho worked on the communication system. "Signal sent, sir." The response was immediate. Dozens of alien ships began moving toward the new soul. They were sleek and powerful, clearly built for war. But they approached slowly, cautiously, as if the human ship was something they had never seen before. "Sir," Dr. Yoon said, studying the approaching ships, "their technology is incredible, but it's also old. These designs look like they haven't changed in centuries." The largest alien ship moved directly in front of the new soul. It was 10 times bigger than the human vessel and covered in weapons. A new voice came through the communication system, speaking in broken but understandable English. "Unknown vessel, you are in violation of Galactic Empire law. Your ship is not registered in our databases. This is impossible. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." Captain Lee looked at his crew. They were 847 light-years from home, surrounded by alien ships with no way to escape. Their simple test flight had somehow brought them into contact with a galactic empire that had never heard of humanity. "This is Captain Lee Woo-jin of the Earth vessel New Soul," he said into the communication system. "We come in peace. We are explorers from the planet Earth. We mean no harm." There was a long silence from the alien ships. Then the voice replied, and Captain Lee could hear confusion and fear in it. "Earth is not in our star charts. Your vessel design is unknown. Your technology signature is impossible. You will comply with Imperial boarding procedures immediately." Captain Lee realized that their accident had done more than just take them far from home. They had stumbled into a galaxy where humanity was completely unknown, where their very existence was causing panic among beings who thought they knew everything about space. The adventure was just beginning.